Welcome, everyone, to Kuneco, Celo's community call. I'm Adriana, and I support Celo community. And we're all here because we have a shared mission to build a financial system that creates the conditions of prosperity for everyone. And this call is a space to celebrate our progress towards that mission. And it's also a place for us to get to know one another virtually, since we have community all across the world. And so I invite you to share in the chat where you're calling in from, and also to say hello. So we have a full agenda of updates, learnings, and announcements today. And so please stick around till the end to hear the latest on Celo events around the world, where you can meet up with folks IRL, as well as a special announcement of this month's Community Builder Award winner. And so let's get started with our community updates. And first off, I want to give a warm welcome to Uniswap and welcome Merrick to the stage to introduce them.
Good morning, everyone. It is my great pleasure to introduce you all to Mary Catherine, or MC, the CEO of Uniswap Labs. MC has been kind enough to take a few minutes out of her busy day just to say hello to the Celo community and talk a little bit about the recently passed Uniswap on Celo governance proposal. So with that, I'll hand it over to MC.
Thank you, Merrick. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. Thank you so much, Merrick. It's great to be here. We are so excited about deploying Uniswap on Celo. So I thought I could share just a little bit, and apologies for the background noise. Merrick and I are both in New York, where there's a lot of crypto happenings at the moment. And I'm in our office, our Uniswap Labs Soho office. I thought I could share two things, just a little bit of a reminder as to how and why Uniswap passed as a proposal and where we are now. So Uniswap Labs is the company, not unlike C Labs, that develops products on top of the Uniswap protocol. But the decision to deploy Uniswap on new chains is actually a governance decision. And so just over a month ago, the proposal to bring Uniswap v3 onto Celo passed. It was proposed by the the Blockchain at Michigan group. So there are a number of different college blockchain groups that have Uni delegated to them and that are really active in the governance process. But that was done in partnership with the Celo Foundation and the Celo Climate Collective. And we're so excited about the opportunity to have a refi example and use cases on Celo. So we're constantly explaining and demonstrating how and why allowing anyone to create a market for anything and anyone to become a liquidity provider is such a powerful concept. And refi is full of different use cases as to how and why long tail liquidity is so useful. So back to the proposal passed with close to 60 million votes. 99.9997% of people voted yes. The goal is to have it become the most liquid market for refi assets on any chain. So the design of V3 with concentrated liquidity is about 4,000 times more capital efficient than V2, the previous version of the Uniswap protocol, which is what's deployed on many other chains beyond mainnet, Polygon, and a couple examples of where V3 is today. And every time we've deployed Uniswap V3 on a new chain, it is within a matter of weeks become the #1 DEX. So hopefully that will be the case here. In terms of status, C Labs is working on the deployment with support and partnership from Uniswap Labs. I think we're targeting a June 30th launch date, and already the deployment scripts are completed. The subgraphs are deployed on Celo's graph instance, and the updates to the UI, which will be the same app.uniswap.org UI that you see, almost finalized. So what remains to be done is connecting the Celo instance to the governance contract on Ethereum. So we are almost there. And then I can't wait for all of your support to both use it and also support its adoption with the projects and teams that you work with. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any. Otherwise, thanks so much for having me, and we can't wait for this to launch.
Thank you so much, MC. We're so excited to have you part of the Celo ecosystem. So next up, I want to welcome Wormhole, and we have Alex to introduce Wormhole to the team. Welcome, Alex.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm Alex, finance lead at the Celo Foundation. I'm very excited to introduce our next speaker, Josh, who is the community lead for Wormhole. Just a couple quick words. We looked at a bunch of different bridges when looking at kind of which ones do we really want to focus on. And Wormhole really came out ahead on a few different metrics, but most importantly, user experience and speed. And so you're able to bridge assets in seconds, not hours, not tens of minutes. So it's really transformative for the user experience and being able to easily go from A to 1 and realize that cross-chain vision of the world in which each layer 1, each blockchain kind of can amplify its own unique strengths. We did have a Twitter Spaces yesterday, so we're going to keep today pretty quick, but I'm going to link to the Twitter Spaces in the chat. So if you want to learn more, please check that out. It is an hour-long session and a lot of interesting Q&A at the end. So without any further ado, I'd like to hand over the floor to Josh, the community lead at Wormhole.
Hey everyone, really happy to be here as part of the Kuneco monthly call. Alex briefly explained Wormhole there, but I'd love to get to the opportunity to explain more in depth what exactly it is that we're doing. So for those of you who don't know, Wormhole is a core messaging layer that allows cross-chain communication of state for assets, data, and apps. We actually call those X assets, X data, and X apps. Portal, which is our token and NFT bridge, is an example of an X app which is actually built on top of Wormhole. And the great thing about Portal is that wrapped assets on Portal are fungible between multiple chains, and the assets don't get double wrapped when moving from chain to chain, which is great because it actually reduces the confusion in using the bridge and also takes away from the issue of fragmented liquidity. A bit more on sort of how Wormhole works as well is essentially works for emitting messages from one chain, which are then observed by a set of 19 guardians that make up the network of nodes, and they're verified once a supermajority consensus is reached. And then after verification, this message is submitted to the target chain for processing. I'd like to know a bit sort of about our partnership with Celo as well. That when we connect to layer 1, such as Celo, which is our 11th chain, we're not just actually bridging liquidity from one chain to another. We're actually making a whole new class of applications available to be built on that layer 1. So with Celo, for example, and their mobile first approach, their mapping of phone numbers, X apps can be built that will take advantage of those niches. We're super excited to have Celo as our 11th chain. And yeah, I'm super happy to be part of the Celo community. So hi.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Josh, and welcome to Wormhole, to the Celo ecosystem. This is great. So let's see here. Let's get the slides up. So next up, we have some governance updates, and I want to invite Will to share what those are.
Hey, everybody. Excited to participate in the call. I'm a CGP editor alongside Chris Wilson and Elizabeth Barnes. Just got 3 updates. The first one is on governance calls. Our next governance call will be in the first half of July. I'll put that on GitHub and then the Celo forum once it's scheduled relatively soon. And we'll be aiming to have governance calls on a monthly basis going forward. And I just wanted to summarize my second update. Active proposals right now. We've got 2 proposals active on chain. One is CGP 62, which is either pretty close to finishing up voting or it may have already finished voting just this morning. But basically it aims to change what's in the Celo reserve so that Celo stablecoins are more resilient when markets are volatile like they have been. And then the second active proposal is CGP 63, which is a big core contracts release. There's kind of a bunch of updates bundled together. 2 of the main updates are one, giving validators an option to send a portion of the funds that they receive each day to another address. For example, in the case they want to donate a portion of those funds each day. And then the second update I wanted to call it that's part of that is there's some changes to simplify the creation of new Celo stablecoins. And then the last update I have is just a call for additional CGP editors. If there's anybody out there, especially if they're new to the community, want to get more involved and learn about what's going on in the community, Being a CGP editor is a really great way to get your feet wet and learn more about everything that's going on. And if you're interested, feel free to reach out to me on Discord.
Awesome. Thank you, Will. And thank you to everyone who participates in governance. This is obviously a really big part of being a part of the Celo community. And so like Will said, yeah, please reach out if you want to become an editor. Great. So next up, we have Daniel, who's going to be sharing about the Africa Web3 Fund. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you. And hi, everyone. My name is Daniel Kimotho, Ecosystem Lead for Kenya at the Celo Foundation. So I'm here to give an update on the Celo Africa Web3 Fund. And for this fund, we have partnered with VC firms, developer studios, alliance partners to come up with it. The whole goal of this fund is a Web3 strategy for Web2 founders. We started seeing that many successful Web2 founders were looking for ways to explore and possibly transition their businesses into Web3 companies. And so the fund came in as a response to this growing demand that we were seeing. Many of these founders are looking for product and investment strategies that they will now take on into their businesses as they look to transition and take advantage of the growing Web3 space in and around Africa. So we plan to deliver these workshops and meetings with the VCs through in-person workshops in the countries that you can see on your screen. So Kenya will be the first one that we will have a workshop in on the 26th of July, followed by Nigeria, Ghana. We'll also be in Uganda and South Africa in the last quarter of this year. And so the workshops have a very interesting format. It's in two parts, with the first part focusing on product strategy. So how can Celo be integrated into these businesses and into the products that they have? What use cases fit these businesses and how can they work it in? And then the second session will be led by our investor partners, which is focused largely on fundraising strategies in the Web3 space, token economic models for those that are building token economies around their businesses, and how companies can start to prepare to work with Web3 funds as partners in their businesses. At the end of these workshops, that's in the final quarter of this year, we plan to have more alliance members that have a Celo integration roadmap, as many of them start taking advantage of the great founder resources that are in the Celo ecosystem. We have Celo Jura, we also have the Developers Guild, and there's more coming in the way of developer support that is going to help some of these founders to actually transition without the strain. And for those of us watching this stream, if you're looking to participate, you could look out for the main announcement that is coming out next week and nominate a startup. Nominate a startup that you feel would be successful in Web3. And this startup would be domiciled in Africa or working in Africa. And on your screen, you can see some of the partners that we're working with, Unicorn Growth Capital, Flourish Ventures, Flory, Eco VC, Uncharted Fund, and that's the Uncovered Fund rather, and the Ape Unit. And so if you're part of the investor or VC community and would also like to play a participating role, an active role in this program, please reach out to us at africa@celo.org and we can have a chat. So enjoy your Kuneco and all the best to everybody. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Daniel, for this update. And yeah, please get in touch at africa@celo.org for more. It's great to see those opportunities. And so next, to kick off Refi Summer, we have Nirvan from Climate Collective to share with us what's happening. Welcome, Nirvan.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm Nirvan Ranganathan, the program lead at Climate Collective, today calling in from Celo's NYC office in Soho. So excited to update you all on Refi Summer and the latest developments that we're seeing in the space. Awesome. So given it's our first time on Kuneco call, I thought we'd quickly introduce ourselves. Climate Collective we call ourselves an innovation network supporting climate and Web3 projects through grant funding, advisory, strategic partnerships, and community building. Our core mission is rooted in Celo's vision for natural capital-backed currencies and inspired by Charles Eisenstein's Sacred Economics, where we're trying to essentially tie economic expansion to ecological regeneration. And this is largely done through our natural capital assets in the Celo Reserve. Our broader goal here is to really foster I would say, holistic refi ecosystem on Celo that spans this range of various parts of the stack that are important in order to really realize this vision. So that can range from digital measurement tools, various approaches to tokenizing real world assets, and of course, mobile remittances using Celo's unique technology stack, which I believe really shines in these real world applications when we're tying things back to real humans and to real geographical regions. So as we can see, this summer, we are seeing a huge influx of projects onto Celo. Some very exciting and imminent launches include the ones you see on the screen here: Toucan Protocol, Flow Carbon, Untangled Finance, and more, who you'll hear from shortly. And trading across Uniswap, as MC very nicely said earlier, certainly expecting that to bring a lot of success to these projects. So Uniswap, Ubiswap, Symmetric, and of course Mento Protocol. We're seeing, working hard to, of course, coordinate roadmaps and build interoperably in the Web3 sense, as well as drive adoption for these refi products and assets, where we think Uniswap is going to be a huge asset, as well as the product launches that we are listed over here, such as Atom, Senkin, and Changeblock, all of which play important roles in being able to access and meaningfully interact with some of the refi tokens and natural capital tokens that we'll be launching on Celo soon. So as you can see, the starting point is certainly these well-known tokenized carbon projects such as Toucan and Flow Carbon. But for anyone who thinks that refi is really limited to the carbon market, we want to certainly show that there's a lot of other real-world assets and use cases that we're certainly trying to address here. And one last thing I wanted to say before handing over to Mandri is, we're at Climate Collective, we are very happy to engage, whether you're a builder or funder of all sorts of, if you're interested in any way in this refi and Web3 intersection of Web3 and climate, please reach out to us on email or Twitter. Always happy to engage. So with that, I'd like to pass over to Mandri, one of our grantees for Untangled Finance protocol demo.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Navan, for having me here. And I'm calling from London. Today there's a strike, so it wasn't very easy to move around. I have to call in a cafe. I hope the noise is not too bad. I do have a presentation. If you could move on to the next slide. Thank you. And the next slide, please. Hi, everyone. I'm Man Ray, a co-founder of Untangled Finance and Untangled Protocol. So we are a funding and liquidity protocol bridging real-world assets to decentralized finance. We want to expand the crypto collateral universe to real-world assets, whilst helping solve one of the biggest challenges, climate change impact. So imagine if you are a solar project in Nairobi or Lagos. There is no easy way to raise money from the global capital market for you. On the other hand, if you are an investor sitting in New York or London, again, it is not easy to access to the high growth credit markets from these emerging countries. Decentralized finance also needs real world assets in order to be more regulatory proof, hedge against the crypto winter like what we're experiencing right now. Next page, please. So Untangled make it all possible by tokenizing each of the real world assets into an NFT. And a pool holding these tokens will then issue fungible tokens, ERC20s, to investors. These ERC20 tokens, and we call them node tokens, are composable with the rest of the DeFi system and protocols. This makes them very useful in a range of DeFi use cases, such as crypto lending or as a reserve for stable tokens. Next page, please. So we have developed two dApps. One is called Binkabi. This is focusing on the origination of the real world assets like invoices, inventories, or purchase orders. And Untangled, on the other hand, is on distributing these assets to global investors. Next page. Now moving on to the go-to-market strategy. We are deploying to Celo, bringing green and other impact assets as collaterals for C stables. Of course, we also work with institutional investors and individual asset holders to bring diversification to their existing portfolio, and also to allow them to have opportunities that may not be available to them within the traditional finance space. Next page. So now moving on to tractions. We're working with 15 originators with an asset pipeline of over $200 million US. Some of these opportunities are very immediate. These include, for example, 2 trade finance funds lending to suppliers in Southeast Asia, and a run-of-the-river hydropower station in England, and the impact credit fund lending to SMEs carbon credit projects for emerging markets. Now we're working with Navan. We have been working with Navan, and I'm still working with him on launching our first pools on Celo very soon. Next page, please. In terms of team, Kwon and I are co-founders of Untangled protocol. Now, we both have a finance background, but Kwon also spent 7 years working in the field of West Africa, developing large greenfield agriculture projects in West Africa. And me, myself, also spent many years in renewables and energy transition M&As. So our advisory board consists of industry veterans for green and securitization, and also fintech entrepreneurs. So this is the end of my presentation. We welcome any investment, collaboration, or partnership opportunities. Please get in touch. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Manrui. And we're just so excited to have you in all the Climate Collective projects with the Celo ecosystem. And so moving on to new project launches, I would like to welcome Simon and Thomas to the stage to share about Cargo. Welcome, folks.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you. Hello, we're Cargo, and we help communities build risk-managed yield strategies whilst making it easy to deposit into Uniswap v3 for high returns and reduced exposure to risk. We graduated from the Celo Bootcamp, Batch 4, in November 2021, and have deployed our aggregator of Uniswap v3, rebalances onto Polygon, which is coming soon to Celo. And on Celo, we built repayment strategies for Moolah. Next slide, please. Uniswap v3 is the leading decentralized exchange in crypto, with over $1 trillion passing through their smart contracts to date. We remove the requirement of checking the price of pairs constantly. And in volatile markets, ratios of assets are rebalanced automatically, set by the user. Should the price rise substantially of a particular asset, you can be sure you will receive gains in the process as we rebalance according to the ratio pre-selected. And in the event of a market crash, it maintains these ratios by moving stablecoins out of the pool to show for any upside you've had. Currently, we're working with C Labs to get ready for the launch on mainnet, which we're particularly excited about. Thomas, would you like to talk about our long-term vision?
Yes, so our vision is to reshape society's approach to savings by making impact investing as simple and as intuitive as possible, by bridging the simplicity of Web2 with the security and the transparency of Web3. We are based in the UK, and doing some research, we learned that well over 40% of adults don't have a savings account. And this has a drastic impact on mental, physical, and emotional health. If us as humans don't have the ability to pause for just 1 month to reflect on our lives and the direction it's taking, our question is, where will that lead us as an interconnected society? So what we want to support are projects with real-world use cases that users actually care about, and our offer is to customize strategies for them to meet their risk appetite. Our push in July is to connect with more on-ramps and off-ramps to help bring greater yield opportunities to us all. In summary, we make it easier to deposit, gain rewards safely, and invest in meaningful projects. If all of this sounds interesting, please follow us on Twitter. We are very happy to take DMs and follow us on Discord as well to participate in the conversation.
Yeah, could we just see the next slide so you can grab that?
Oh,
thanks.
Yes. Thanks.
Fantastic. Well, welcome, Cargo, and please let's get in touch. Here's their Twitter and email. Thanks, folks. And so up next, we have Sylvain to share about HeroCoin. Welcome, Sylvain.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Adriana. Happy to be here today to present HeroCoin. I had met some of you a month back in Barcelona, including Marco from Impact Market, and I'm happy to be able to connect with all of you again today. So if you want to move to the next slide, Adriana, basically, we've been working full speed on getting this off the ground since Barcelona. And this is the super short pitch. Basically, we all know we've got 7 years to act significantly on climate change. I think that's why we're all here today. More and more people realize that they need to be doing much more than they're actually doing today. But many people just don't know how. They just don't know how they can actually do to accelerate their action. On the other hand, we've been meeting with climate mobilizers around the world, such as leaders of, the Friday for the Futures movement, of Greta Thunberg. And I mean, first of all, these guys are amazing. These guys and girls, a lot of them are girls, are amazing. For me, they've done more to put public awareness on the agenda than, 100 GIEC reports at COP 21, 22, 23. No offense to the scientists, of course. And, we say it's probably one of the most important jobs today, and it's not being paid, right? These people are, most of them, volunteers. And so the Hero project, the HeroCoin, allows anyone who wants to do more for climate and wants to find a solution to fund an annual basic income for these mobilizers so that they can live freely, have economic freedom to focus on the cause. And the idea is that you can simply choose which mobilizers you want to support in the program. Super quickly, before moving to the next slide, we're 3 co-founders, myself with a background in funding and impact investing, Mauricio, so I'm French, Mauricio from Costa Rica, who's been working over 10 years in advising mobilizers and climate movements, and Mohamed from Tunisia, where I'm calling in from, who's got deep knowledge in Web3. So you can move to the next slide, Adriana. Our first goal in the project is really to make it super accessible for crypto and non-crypto users to be able to easily fund these years of basic income for these mobilizers. That's our first goal. And the secondary goal is obviously to make Web3 accessible, the advantages of Web3 accessible to all, in particular the transparency that it allows and the traceability. The tokenomics that we're using are very simple. They're very simple. That's why I also mentioned Marco. It's similar to the impact market economics, where basically these mobilizers are paid in stable coins, so Celo euro. And basically there's 2 additions. One is that the Hero token that you get rewarded for supporting these supporters is backed by tokenized carbon credits. So that's one first thing, since we have a very strongly, a project strongly anchored on climate. And there's a second thing we've been doing is we've created a bridge with compounds to generate yields with our reserves, which we then allow to strengthen our token. Last thing I wanted to tell you today is that we're going to be live tonight on the testnet, on the famous Alfajoles testnet. I love that name. And our goal is to launch on the mainnet this summer. You can move to the last slide, which is my ask to you. If you're interested in supporting us or advising us, we're looking for advisors on tokenomics and also on the marketing. The real key issue here is the go-to-market, both for crypto and non-crypto communities. So if you're interested in supporting us and joining the adventure, please email me on sylvain@herolabs.co, and we'll soon be launching the Discord. That's it for me. Thank you so much, Adriana.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sylvain. And yeah, really love this project and the purpose behind it. And so next up, Christian with Crypto Hunt. Welcome.
Thanks so much, Adriana. When friends ask you, where should I go and get started in crypto and learn about it, where do you send them? Feel free to drop a comment on YouTube. So Next slide, please. Crypto Hunt. Our mission is to onboard the next 1 billion people to crypto. Next slide, please. My name is Christian Beiser. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Crypto Hunt, and we just launched the Duolingo of crypto. Next slide, please. Why did we start? Because crypto is very hard to understand. Most information is technical and scattered around the web. Resources are hard to access and often hostile towards newcomers. And yes, scams are everywhere. And who really wants to read through long white papers and dig through Telegram and Discord communities anyways? Can you go back a slide? We built Crypto Hunt, where we offer easy to understand courses and quizzes to onboard everyone to Web3. Because learning crypto is like learning a new language. Crypto used to be boring, dry and technical, but we attract a much wider audience because we made it fun and interactive. And once users make it through dozens of courses, they can also dig deeper and learn about specific projects. Next slide, please. On top of the learning experience, we built a social graph of crypto where every crypto project has its own page where users can review and discuss the pros and cons of each one of them. So come to the Celo project page on Crypto Hunt and leave a positive review right now. And one last thing, if you have a crypto project you want to list for free, just come to cryptohunt.it and submit a new project or claim your existing page. We would love to work with you and get your help building the front door to crypto. And to Celo, thanks so much for having and supporting us.
Awesome. Thank you, Christian. Really excited about Crypto Hunt, and you can connect at founders at cryptohunt.it. Awesome. So next up, Sloptopia. Welcome, Matthew.
Thanks, Adriana. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate your time. So Sloptopia is it's an NFT project, GameFi metaverse. As you can see, I'm coming to you as one of our NFTs. It's one that you can VTube with it. We have it on virtual camera. It's exciting to kind of be your NFT and be able to talk to people this way. Next slide, Adriana. So our metaverse right now consists of avatars, custom architecture. We have a lot of custom builds inside of our world, condos and galleries. So tomorrow we're running a mint for 500 different condos. It's a very on-cyber type of vibe, except it's multiplayer and it has ability to customize every little part with in-game assets to really make a space in the metaverse yours. And in the near future, we're launching a music NFT platform with a studio and a music NFT focused marketplace. And next slide. So our main goal is to support the developers and projects on the networks we're on. We first launched on Phantom and now we're coming to Celo. And ways that we plan on doing this is to be able to have NFT projects do in-game mints. So our NFTs, when you're seeing me come at you right now, was minted in-game. So you go in and you can mint, and then you immediately churn into the NFT that you minted, which is a different, unique experience. We're having collectors be able to upload their NFT collections into Sloptopia. So you could have a avatar, invite your community, and immediately have a place for everyone to hang out together. In-game dApps. So we want to be able to have different refi marketplaces in there, and we can access your marketplace through Sloptopia. Displaying projects. So our custom architecture, we can build you a structure, put it in a downtown area inside of our game, and people can come visit. So it's more ways to engage with community. That's not just Discord or Twitter. It's a metaverse way to do it. And then we're doing we're going to be building like a farm showing carbon captures and to show the impact Celo is having and its projects are having on global climate change. And then we want to be able to as you can see in this picture on the bottom right, you can hang NFTs up on the wall. So in our condo, in our gallery, you can hang up NFTs. So it's a really good way to showcase NFT projects and bring in new community members and say, hey guys, come look at my art, set up your space, and a way to help promote everyone in the network to bring NFTs more mainstream. So I would love for you guys to follow the project. It's at Sloptopia NFT on Twitter. And from there, you'll see the link, sloptopia.io for our metaverse. We have our Discord link up there as well. And just engage with the community. And we're excited to be with Celo. So thank you for your time.
Awesome. I love the NFT, and thank you, Matthew, for that share. That is so fun and so exciting that you're joining us on Celo. So next up, I want to invite Deepak to share an educational segment around emerging trends in DeFi and risk assessment. Welcome, Deepak.
Thanks, Adriana. Glad to be here. My name is Deepak, and I'm the founder of Cresco. We're building a novel synthetic asset protocol. So what I wanted to talk about was, just give a quick update on where we are in DeFi right now, and with all the things that is going on, what can people do, and also, how can we assess risk so that we are safe and secure for the future. Next slide, please. All right, so a few months ago, the whole Terra ecosystem with their stable coin imploded, and it was a bad protocol design. And also one thing to note, currently, there are a lot of liquidations happening in the ecosystem with the Celsius going almost bankrupt, and with the news that 3AC might also be doing something. They might also be going under, and the problem there has been they were managing crypto for many projects like BlockFi, Voyager, and even projects like Treasury. So it's good to remind ourselves, right? Centralized finance is not decentralized finance. This is something that we like to talk about since the early days of crypto, about not your keys, not your crypto. So this also applies to bigger players and teams. So yeah, unfortunately, because the CeFi became so big, they've created systemic in the protocol, in the ecosystems, and that has been a problem, and it has been driving the bear market, making the bear market much worse. So what should we do, right? I think this is a great time to build. If you are passionate about this space and want to help out, I think you can start a project or go join a project, contribute to a project. These are some things you can do during the bear market. When you have time, there's no hype going on around. And the other thing is, this is what I did during the last bear market. If it's helpful, you can do it as well. Is as a retail investor, what I used was do dollar cost averaging. But I think it makes sense for us to do when we're doing this, making an educated or informed decision, right? To do this, you have to build your conviction first in an educated way. And how to do that, right? Next slide, please. All right, so I'll talk about how we can do risk assessment. I'm focusing only on DeFi protocols, mostly lending protocols, stable coins, and synthetic assets. So this will be helpful for protocol designers, investors, or analysts who want to compare different DeFi protocols. Next slide, please. All right, so what I've created here is a 5-part framework, which is a score-based framework where we go in and score the project on these 5 different dimensions, and then we can get a holistic view, right? Sometimes it's not just enough, right? A lot of times in the media, people just want to talk about, hey, this is an algorithmic stablecoin, so it's not good, or this is a non-algorithmic stablecoin, that's why it's good, right? So that does not give us enough fidelity, right? We need more resolution of how to compare these projects and talk about them. So this is a helpful way of analyzing protocols. And also, while I'm explaining this, I've simplified a lot of things just to make it easy. So then anybody can quickly do a back of the paper napkin kind of assessment real quick. But if you want to hear more, I'll be doing a workshop on this during ECC at the Celo Salon in Paris. But yeah, so in this part, like let me I'll quickly talk about the first 3 points, but I'll focus on in this talk on the points 4 and 5. So as everyone knows in the space, like smart contract risk is a big issue, or the software risk. So making sure that your project or the project you're planning to assess has like enough audits. This could include like smart contract audits. It could include like formal verification, fuzzing, and these other things. And making sure that these protocols have proper incentive alignments in place so that it aligns all the different actors within the protocol properly. And the bigger third part is also regulatory risk, thinking about how the regulation will affect you if you're not fully decentralized yet, right? Many of us are like startups here. So how do we think about this? This is something that I'll leave as an exercise, the top 1 to 3 points to the audience here, but I'll talk about 4 and 5. Next slide, please. So yeah, so like we talked about like security audits, how do we do like economic audits, right? This is not very popular, but I think this is very much needed, especially in like DeFi. So one of the things you can look at is collateralization ratio, like how, what is the collateralization ratio? Usually like the higher means like it's less risk. So if you look at like Celo right now, the current reserve ratio is 230%, which is good. And if you see MakerDAO, the requirement if you want to open a new vault is like more than like 150%. And if you see the total average is 130%. So just on this dimension, right, we can say, okay, like Celo is less riskier than MakerDAO. So we give points on these each different dimension. And if you look at the next dimension here is the vaults or pooling. Are they like pooling? What is it called? Are the pools that are being created? Are they global? Is there a global pool or is there a local pool, right? So in case of like MakerDAO, they have local vaults. If there is some kind of like economic vulnerability or attack, then these like local vaults will get affected. But if you look at like the Celo, it has a global reserve. If there was one, then there is this global pool, right? Then the whole pool is affected. So in this dimension, I would say like MakerDAO is relatively less risky compared to Celo. Let's go to next slide, please. Next slide, please. All right, so asset risk, I would say, is a subset of the protocol economic risk we talked about, but I think it needs its own topic to assess different aspects. So one dimension you can think of it is how many collateral assets are on the protocol. In case of like Celo, there are multiple collateral assets, which is relatively good and less risky. In case of like Terra USD, even though it was not a what's called collateral backed asset, but still there was just like one asset that was somehow like affecting the stablecoin USD. If that one asset goes under, then the whole ecosystem is done that relies on that asset, right? So which is very risky. In the same case, again, like the borrowed assets, I think the fewer the borrowed assets, the less risky it is. In case of MakerDAO, there's only one, and in case of Celo, we have a few of these. Again, like this is not to say right, looking at only one dimension, something is good or bad. Like just it gives us a way to like score a project on like these different dimensions and then get a holistic view of it. Next slide, please. So risk parameters, right? We just talked about the number of collateral assets and borrowed assets, but I think we should also differentiate, right? Like what kind of assets are those? And because not all assets, even though they may have like the same like market price, they may be the risk of those assets may be different. For example, like let's start with like the collateral assets, right? Like so Celo uses like a bunch of these like collateral assets. But I don't think while calculating the reserve like price that they, like for example, like I think I would say like safely, right? Like DAI, the kind of $1 worth of DAI is different than $1 worth of Celo or ETH in that collateral basket. So how do we like assess different those assets differently? In case of like Maker, right? They have like different collateral ratio requirements for like when you deposit different assets, right? Whatever way they use to factor that in, I think there should be a intelligent way to assess those, just making sure that these kind of like factors are in. Again, this, as I said, like this is a simplified version to assess this. And the other thing to also think about, this is something like new, I think I've been thinking about lately while designing our protocol, is how do we factor in market liquidity, right? Like, for example, like I think the example right now is like the Solend protocol on the Solana, right? They've been having some issues where if you have, let's say, like $170 million worth of collateral provided by a single person or account, and that is about to get liquidated, right? Even if it is over collateralized, we don't know if you sell that, right? What is the market liquidity there, right? What is the depth? Like if you sell $170 million worth of asset, will you actually get 170 million, right? If you because in a decentralized AMM, there is a lot of like slippage. Maybe you get only half of it, right? So thinking about certain type of limits to put on top of like different collateral types, which will help, that can be based on the market liquidity. Next slide, please. And same thing with the borrower's asset, right? Like, so not many protocols do this, right? Is the protocol valuing? So this is something that we thought a lot from the beginning of how do we value, right? If you're borrowing ETH, is that same as borrowing DAI? I would suggest that there are like two different risks. So we should, make it more expensive when somebody's borrowing ETH versus when somebody's borrowing DAI. And like, this can also be applicable to a lot of like lending protocols where, they cap the borrowing based on like the interest rate, right? Like they use like the market demand to do this. Are they also using some kind of like, risk parameter to like say, hey, like if you want to borrow like a risky asset, you have to pay more, right? That is just beyond like the market demand, which will be helpful, right? If this was in place, this would have also been a little helpful for some of the borrowing protocols that are in trouble. Next slide, please. All right, so as I said, right, this is a simplified version of a framework to assess risk in different protocols. And I will probably publish a bigger post on this, on how to do this, and also do a workshop, as I mentioned, during EthCC. If you want to reach out, please reach out. And also, like, if you are a sophisticated like DeFi user, we are planning to, in the next coming weeks, open up await like our like alpha launch of our protocol. If you are interested in that and would like to be part of that, and if you are a sophisticated DeFi user, feel free to sign up on our list. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Deepak. Really appreciate the share and the education here. I think it's really important to share what we know to the community. And yeah, if you're going to be in Paris during EthCC, catch Deepak's talk there at the salon. So next up, we have a few project updates from around the ecosystem. And I want to see if we have Marco on the call, if you are around to join us for an impact market update. All right, so I think we're going to move on to our next update, which is Coco. Kevin, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. So, yeah, I'm excited to present. I have some news for the community. We launched our wallet a couple of months ago, since two Kunecos ago. And right now I'm excited to share what we have done. So please, next slide. So as you all know, Pago is a wallet for migrants. Me as a Venezuelan migrant, I struggle finding ways to easily support my family back home. And this is the reality that me and other 5 million Venezuelan migrants face nowadays. So with this problem in mind, we decided to create Pago. Next slide, please. And right now, we have been able to process more than $110,000 in money transfers, mainly from Venezuelans in the US and Europe. the way it works is we have two key partnerships to make this happen. One is with Ramp.network. So through them, our users in the US and Spain can deposit funds into their wallet using their debit or credit card. Then they can hold CUS Celo dollars in their wallet. And whenever they need it, they can cash out fiat to their family's bank account in Venezuela or, through El Dorado. So we have these two key partnerships that allow us the entire remittance flow to happen. Next slide, please. So yeah, since we launched, we have processed more than $110,000, and our customers are really excited. We did a small launch. We have a database of more than 160,000 Venezuelan migrants. We did a small launch to only 4,000 Venezuelan out of from our entire database. That was because we were testing the product, and now we're moving into a phase where we're going to be inviting the rest of the community. So we're really excited to see how the traction works and it continues to grow. Next slide, please. So again, we launched on March 6th. The wallet is available in US, Europe, and other countries in Latin America. And the cash out option right now, it's only in Venezuela through our partnership with El Dorado. And this allows instant, and this is for instant bank deposits that they can get their fiat to their bank accounts. Next slide, please. So we want to be part of the Fiat Connect initiative. As a wallet, it's going to be key for us to be able to connect with as many on-ramps and off-ramps as possible in order to serve migrants in other markets and other remittances corridors. So this is my email and my Twitter. If you're part of this initiative, please reach out to me, and would like to be part of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, and so excited about these updates with Coco. So you see Kevin's email and Twitter, please reach out. And next up, Celo events around the world. I want to welcome Sandra to share about what we have going on. Welcome, Sandra.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. We're happy to see you here at Kuneco every month and then in real life around the world. So Adriana, if you'll take us to the next slide, please. One more. We will be in a couple weeks in Paris for ECC. We're building out a salon with a lot of great programming. Monday is an open house, open to anyone and everyone who wants to come through, talk about what it will be happening throughout the week. We'll have a marketplace with some goods from projects in the Celo ecosystem, and we're really excited about that day, as well as everything happening throughout the week. The website should be posted in the channel now, so please go there. Tickets are available. Everything is free, so come by. We'll have programming downstairs and networking and just chatting, co-working on the main floor level. The next slide, please. And then here are just a scattering of places we'll be, as you know, a couple weeks from now, Celo Connect Salon at ECC in Paris. It's also on the ECC Week website. We'll be at DevCon in Bogota in October. Stay tuned for more details about that. As Daniel mentioned, there's the Africa Fun Tour next month in Nairobi, and other fun things happening throughout Africa in the next half of the year. And then stay tuned for updates on something we'll be doing in September in New York around Mainnet and United Nations and New York Climate Week. Very exciting stuff happening there. And as always, the third Thursday of each month, the Kuneco community meetings. And next month, we will be live from Paris from the salon. So hopefully everyone can join us there and in real life and online, and we'll look forward to seeing you somewhere in the world. Very exciting stuff. The next slide, please. Oh, and that's it for me. Enjoy your day and evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. So exciting about having opportunities to meet community in real life. And so to wrap up here, we have a very special community builder to acknowledge. The Community Builder Award is given monthly to an outstanding contributor to the Celo community who is nominated by a Twitter poll the week before Kuneco. So this month, it is my great honor to announce that the Community Builder Award is going to Vanessa Slavich. And so for those of you who had the privilege to know Vanessa, you knew her sharp intellect, her propensity towards inclusion, and heart-driven approach to all things. You may even have had the pleasure of doing a design workshop with her, surrounded by Post-its and Sharpies. Starting in 2018 with Celo, Vanessa was a leader in the early research that Celo conducted in the emerging markets. And she was the pen behind the Celo voice and tone that brought the Celo values and brand to life. With spreading joy as her purpose at Celo, she envisioned and helped create the Prosper Retreat, an in-person immersive experience focused on taking care of oneself, finding your unique purpose, and building connections at the intersection of entrepreneurship and social good. She also started Prosper DAO and was a mentor to many. So Vanessa was public about her healing journey with a desmoid tumor, and last week that journey came to an end. No doubt, Vanessa's vibrant spirit will continue on as she is part of the very fabric that is Celo. And so Vanessa values starting with a gift. It's actually one of the values and the ways that we try to move through the Celo ecosystem is to start everything with a gift in that place of honoring abundance and sufficiency, which is the only way that we can bring prosperity to everyone is moving from that place. And so this award of 1,000 Celo will be gifted to a cause that she believed in care of her family. So please join me in congratulating Vanessa, not only as an outstanding Celo builder, but as an extraordinary human. And for those of you who are local here in San Francisco and would like to honor Vanessa in community, we do have a ceremony on Friday, tomorrow at the Celo office. And so you can email me privately for details. And so with that, we're going to wrap up today's Kuneco. If you have an update for an upcoming community call, this can only happen with contributions from all of you, right? And this is for you, by you. Please post on Discord in our community events channel. You can also email me directly. And really looking forward to seeing those of you that'll be at ETHCC, where we are also going to be streaming Kuneco live from the Celo Salon in Paris in July. So have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, and we'll see you next time.